gently pushes him aside. She calmly and boldly goes forward to strange young people. Crossing her arms over her chest, she orders them to apologize and leave. Then they will pretend that nothing happened. Guys don't understand why they should apologize if they haven't done anything wrong. Ellie is pleased with the answer, but the smile on her lips looks quite threatening. She immediately draws the attention of those who molested them to the person behind their backs. It turns out to be the local guard. He reminds the guys that they have already been warned about the harassment of customers, which is why they will have to move out of the hotel. Several more colleagues join the guard, and they quickly take the molester away. On this occasion, Lucas and Ellie decide to have a cocktail at the bar. They are delighted with the bar and the taste of the drinks, which makes the bartender smile contentedly. Coupons for free drinks were given to them as compensation from the hotel. Lucas considers this to be luck, and Ellie cannot disagree with him. The girl thoughtfully lowers her gaze into the glass with the drink and turns to her companion. She is curious to know more about Lucas and asks him to tell her about himself, his family, and his life in the past. Lucas thinks about the answer and says that his mother died early and he lived for a long time with his father, who loved gambling and ruined it, and then completely died. He tells the story of how he graduated from college, got a job in a company, and married a woman who worked in a neighboring department. After telling the story of Lucas and Maria's lives, Ellie goes into a rage. She calls Lucas's ex-wife a witch and scolds her loudly for the pain she caused the man. Lucas did not expect that she would scold his ex, but unexpectedly, such a reaction turns out to be pleasant for him. But Ellie immediately notes that she understands why Maria wanted to marry him. She believes that Lucas listens carefully to the woman's words, respects her, cares about her. Therefore, based on these thoughts, Ellie is sure that it is easy to fall in love with him. Lucas feels embarrassment and a pleasant warmth in his chest from the girl's words. In order not to cross the line established between them, Lucas hurries to end the evening and suggests that they go to their rooms. He wearily collapses on the bed, trying to recover from his time alone with Ellie. Lucas lies with his arms outstretched, thinking about everything that has happened. He thinks that he should be more conscious because Ellie almost knocked him out of his stride. To distract himself, he decides to check the price of the cryptocurrency and pulls out his phone. With displeasure, he notes that the prices of many cryptocurrencies have collapsed. He reflects on how big his losses would have been if he hadn't sold his assets. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door and Lucas is very surprised that Ellie is behind it. Lucas thinks that something has happened to her and hurries to open it. Behind the door of the hotel room stands Ellie in a seductive nightgown. Lucas is speechless from what he sees and stops breathing for a few seconds. He nervously asks the girl what happened since she came to him, but Ellie suddenly puts a finger on his lips, telling him to shut up. She enters the room and comes close to Lucas without embarrassment. Ellie is seductive and beautiful, so she literally shines in Lucas' eyes. She persuades Lucas to spend the night in the same bed, and when they lie down next to each other, she decides to get his opinion on the trip. This time they are in Las Vegas, and Lucas liked him much more than he imagined. He liked Santa Monica Beach for the beauty of nature, and Las Vegas for the splendor of a noisy city. Ellie laughs at his words. She shares Lucas's point of view. The girl suddenly rises on the bed to move closer to Lucas. She rolls over on her stomach and puts her hands under her head, asking the man if just talking at night is enough for him. Lucas mentally prays not to relapse, but replies that the night is good and suitable for talking. Ellie wonders why Lucas doesn't openly show his sympathy and desire. Lucas thinks that he wants to be honest with the American. He replies that he is not sure that he is ready for responsibility after intimacy with a woman. After divorcing his wife, he lost interest in dating, but he knows for sure that he does not want consequences if their meeting is only short-term pleasure. He also gently notes that he doesn't particularly want to hurt Ellie. The girl blushes at his confession and feels her breath short, but to hide her embarrassment, she accuses Lucas of being rude. Hiding her face in the pillow, she asks the man to talk to her all night. Lucas does not mind, and they begin to share their impressions of the trip together. But still, in the end, Lucas calmly falls asleep in the process of their conversation. Ellie examines the sleeping Lucas and gently touches his face. Then she carefully rolls up to the man's side and hugs him. She feels a little disappointed, but even such a first night in the same bed makes Ellie feel happy. In the morning, they pack their things and go to their final destination, New York. Lucas decided to accompany Ellie to the city and at the same time see many famous places in New York. He is going to return to Seoul from this city as it is faster than via San Francisco. Lucas asks the girl to take care of herself and wishes her good luck in her life and work. Ellie rushes to him and hugs him tightly. She thinks traveling with Lucas was great and asks him to contact her when he gets home. After promising the girl to contact her later, Lucas boards his flight and heads home. Lucas sits on a plane and thinks that the long journey to America has finally come to an end. That when he came to the States, he met a lot of interesting and good people, from startup executives to charming Ellie. He was also very impressed by the industry and culture flourishing in every corner of the country, and of course, the huge capital. When Lucas felt this huge economic flow, greed and a desire to join it awoke in him. He realizes that he wants to make even more money because it's the most fun thing there can be. When he lands in Seoul, he suddenly realizes that a familiar face is greeting him at the airport. Dan arrives at the airport with a nameplate and calls Lucas to his place. The man is surprised that a colleague specially came to meet him. And he's not the only one who came to meet Lucas. With a soft smile, Sue approaches the men, glad that after a while she finally sees Lucas. Lucas is happy to see her, and Dan laughs behind his back at the reaction of his colleagues. Lucas wonders how Sue was able to come during office hours, but Sue replies that she was nearby. The colleagues decide that after Lucas's trip, he will want to have a snack, and the man agrees and takes them to a good restaurant. Lucas's phone at this moment signals incoming messages from Maria, although he does not pay attention to it. After having a good time with Dan and Sue, Lucas finally comes home. He reflects on the fact that American landscapes are good, but nothing compares to his homeland. Before sorting out his luggage, he decides to check the notifications on his phone. He is happy to hear from Charlie, who invites him to come to America more often. He smiles at Ellie's message, in which she talks about a successful interview at a large American company. Ellie writes that they will see each other soon, and Lucas is perplexed about the reasons for a possible meeting. But then he draws attention to the number of messages from his ex-wife Maria. Maria in messages breaks the comedy and presents herself as a gentle, suffering wife. She writes how sad she is that he left for the States without telling her anything. She talks about how much she misses him, and that only after the breakup did she realize the strength of her love for Lucas. Lucas is covered in sweat with horror when he reads these messages. He believes that Maria has gone mad. Subsequent reports contain information about gossip within the company, which refers to Lucas losing money on investments. A woman writes over and over again, and when she doesn't get an answer, she gets irritated. As a result, she only throws insults and threats at him. In recent messages, Maria threatens that Lucas will have a hard time at work. This behavior impresses Lucas, but he immediately blocks all of his ex-wife's phone numbers so that she can no longer bombard him with messages. He once again admits that the divorce from Maria was one of the best events in his life. The next day, he comes to work with the full bags of souvenirs for his colleagues and in high spirits. He is alarmed by the fact that the company's employees look extremely sad. He tries to understand what has happened to the atmosphere when several people from his department approach him. They ask Lucas about their vacation experiences and share their own investment success with Lucas' advice. Then Lucas realized that the reason for the decline in mental strength in the team is unsuccessful investments in cryptocurrency and large financial losses. Suddenly, from behind his back, someone mockingly calls for Lucas, who has returned from vacation. Senior colleagues with whom he has a good relationship, namely the manager and the head of the department, come closer to say hello. Lucas is very happy to see them both after so many days of his absence. He takes them to the meeting room to give them the souvenirs he brought, which are expensive watches. Taking the Rolex in their hands, the men look at them in shock, afraid to believe in the reality of what is happening. However, the man confirms that they have a branded thing in their hands. Lucas expresses his gratitude to the men for their help and understanding during the last years of his work. That's why he wanted to make memorable gifts to the manager and the head of the department. However, the manager suddenly frowns, his face darkening, and sighs heavily. Lucas is surprised by such a strange reaction to his gift. Men begin to make excuses that they cannot accept such an expensive and special gift. Lucas tries to reason with them, telling them not to worry about the price, because it doesn't matter much to him. The head of the department, sweating, says that someone is chatting around the office that Lucas has lost his assets. Lucas immediately refutes this information, which surprises and pleases men who notice that the rumor has not appeared for the first time. After receiving information about who may be the gossip peddler, Lucas goes to the roof for a break. Almost immediately, Jack, the colleague who let other employees down in the story with cryptocurrency, rises next. Pretending to care about Lucas, Jack tries to find out if he is doing well financially. Lucas smirks contentedly as he begins to drive the man into his trap. In the past, Jack had always bullied him and other employees with less experience, so Lucas had a good chance to get revenge. He decides to confirm the rumor spread by Jack to see where it leads. Jack always looks down on everyone if they are inferior to him in any way, and for the sake of satisfying his pride, he is ready to harm other people. Lucas knew that he would be angry when he found out about his success, but he didn't think it would be so neglected. Jack explains his curiosity by his excitement for Lucas and his future. He puts pressure on the man, offering him to freely talk about his problems. Deciding to play along with him in the name of executing his plan, Lucas decides to give Jack some information. Lucas replies that things are not going well for him and he did not want to tell anyone, but he can trust Jack. Jack immediately beams and begins to convince Lucas that he won't tell anyone. Lucas then gives him information that he has gone broke and has less than 10 million won left in his account. Trying his best not to burst out laughing, Jack feels sorry for Lucas and thanks him for sharing his problems with him. At this point, the trap that Lucas has set closes. And although Jack promised not to tell anyone about Lucas's situation, he immediately goes to the office premises and starts new rumors. Because of his words, colleagues begin to chat about the fact that Lucas sold his assets and came to collapse. It is not easy for Jack to keep his face. He is shaking with delight. Because of the people's disappointment in Lucas, Jack experiences unprecedented joy. He sees Lucas as nothing more than an annoying caterpillar and wants to trample him. Jack needs Lucas to remain a step below him for the rest of his life. Suddenly, the employees' chatter is interrupted by one of their colleagues. He announces that a large corporate dinner party will be held this evening. Jack snorts contemptuously, believing that they will be offered cheap cuisine again, and he is above that. However, in fact, dinner will be at a restaurant famous for Korean beef of the highest quality in all of Gangnam. Of course, such a promise arouses the curiosity of employees. In an expensive restaurant where they come, they are greeted as important people. The company's employees are shocked to doubt that they can and are in a place like this. However, they quickly decide that since they were invited, they need to take advantage of the situation. Usually in such a restaurant, you can only visit a meeting with really rich people, which is why the dishes are more expensive than ordinary employees can afford. Jack thinks about who could be the one who gathered the employees for a company dinner. Suddenly, to his surprise, Lucas enters the restaurant accompanied by the manager and the head of the department. This annoys Jack because he sees it as boasting about his closeness to department heads. However, at the same moment, Lucas takes the microphone and announces to everyone that he organized this event. This will shock all colleagues present except those who were aware of Lucas' plan. Lucas explains that he has no special intentions and this dinner is just a pastime with colleagues. Since he couldn't bring many souvenirs, he decided to order a good dinner for everyone. Lucas's colleagues are shocked by the highest quality meat that the waiters take out. Jack realizes that the 10 million that Lucas should have in his account would not be enough for such a dinner. Everyone around begins to whisper about the rumors that Jack has been spreading. As a result, the idea that Jack was spreading rumors intentionally still sounds at the table. Jack responds by aggressively arguing that Lucas told him about his losses. Suddenly, the head of the department raises his voice and, as if casually, says that Lucas does not make mistakes. These words attract the attention of Jack, who feels ashamed. The head of the department continues that he also lost a lot of money on cryptocurrency, but that's only because he didn't listen to Lucas. But he decided to trust Jack, who was confident in his words. And now he is spreading rumors about Lucas, which are clearly false. It annoys the man. Jack tries to come up with at least something to justify himself, but the words do not come to mind. Lucas leisurely walks over to his desk and calls the man's name. As before, he wouldn't have paid any attention to Jack's gossip. He simply had no choice but to put up with it. But now everything had changed. Grinning contentedly, Lucas says that the evening has been prepared especially for Jack. This, of course, immediately causes Jack to go into a rage when he realizes that he has fallen into a trap. Colleagues begin to discuss that Jack blurted out the secrets that Lucas entrusted to him, and after that he sits quietly here. Jack feels ashamed and angry that he has been trapped and cannot justify himself. Others laugh at his greed because he could not refuse expensive beef, so he came.